In our last tutorial, we looked at how we could use Elementor Anywhere to create a header that then generates a shortcode with PHP that we could inject into a very, very simple theme in order to create a persistent header throughout the website. Now, be aware this works fine if each page that you have of the website is controlled using Elementor. So you'd have to then go and edit that page with Elementor for each individual page. Now that doesn't work well for blog sites and stuff, and we will address that later on. But there is another theme or plugin that does a nice header and footer builder for Elementor. And so this particular one is called the header footer builder for it, and I'm going to go ahead and edit that. And so in this case, what you'd want to do is, just like before, you create a template file, and on this one it has some settings here where you can choose whether it's a header or a footer, and then you can choose whether it does the entire website or other rules that might apply. And I'm going to go ahead and just take a quick look at this one and how it's different than the original. Looks like I'm getting a little bit of problems with my header there, so I'm going to switch my theme right now instead before I go on. So in order to do the new theme, remember before all we had was an index theme. Instead, what I'm going to do is upload a very simple theme that's also found in the link below, and this one is going to be my custom theme. Now, the reason I'm doing this custom theme is because I'm starting to separate some different files out, and they're going to have a purpose for the different themes. So if I go to my theme builder now, or my theme editor, and just take a look, you'll see that there are a number of different files that are associated with this one. If I go back to the main index file, here's the main big change. And that is, instead of all the code being in the one file, I'm taking the header code and putting it into a new file which is called header.php, and then just saying php get the header in the main index file. Same thing with the footer. So here you can see in the header, now I have all that main information at the top. Then you'll see that I also have some other pages here too. I have one called front page, and then I have another one called single, and then I have another one called home.php. And you'll see I've injected a little bit of other stuff in here as well, main ID content wrapper, and then this says div class posts. And you'll see here it gets an H2, and it gets the permalink and the title, and it gets the excerpt. And we're going to see how this is used here in just a second. Now you also might see this red thing up here, and that's because I installed a plugin called Query Monitor, and it's going to be really helpful as we start looking at this site. Now with that, and if I start to look at my site, now you'll see I actually get a fully functional header at the top. Now once again, let me come back and look at that, and that is in the Appearance Header Footer Builder, and I'm going to go to that one, and we want to create a new header, and then we're going to choose that to be a header, and we want it to apply to the entire website, and then we'll edit with Elementor. And now that we have that header.php file, things should work correctly. So now it is loading. Now you'll see, just like before, I created a very simple structure where it has just the title up here and a permalink that links to the permalink of the site. And then over here on this side, if I look for menu, the nice thing about having this new plugin, this header builder, is that it comes with a navigation menu module that is responsive out of the gate. And of course, now all we have to do are go to the layout and go to the styles to make it look the way we want. But that's really, really helpful to have a true responsive menu with this free plugin. So I'm going to use the one that I've designed, and I'll update that real quick, and then I'm going to go ahead and view my page or view my site. And now you can see I can jump around to the different pages. Now you'll notice that things are not styled very well, and I am going to address that right now. One thing to notice is that we have this spacing that's happening around here. Now you might say, well, your theme has a little bit of CSS that's being applied here. The problem is that because we are using this new header footer builder, it's injecting all of its own code for the header and then the footer if we created that. And that means that it's bypassing our CSS. So this is why I like the customize CSS settings up here. So we want to use basically the same thing. HTML and body is going to have a margin 0. Now you'll see that that goes across. Now the next thing I need to do is inspect my page to find out what the name is of this main section. And I think it's called content wrapper. So I can create a style rule and I can copy that and I can paste that in here and apply my styles to that. I know that I want my max width to be 1120 pixels. I want my padding to be 0 and then 10 pixels. You can see it moved it in a little bit. And I want my margin to be 0 and auto, so that if I were to close this panel, you'll see it floats in the middle, but then it's also the exact same place that that header does as well, that default header. A very simple header that we created. And of course, any other things that we want to apply, we would do at this time. Now, you might see that this thing kind of gets a little glitchy at times with those drop downs. Welcome to web development on a live website. If that's a problem, you might want to just purge your cache just to make sure that that's not showing. All right, now, in order to understand what's happening with our theme, let's take a look at this again. With our theme editor, we have some different files. We have one called front page. Now, we've never assigned which is the front page. So I'm going to assign, oh, actually, I guess we did assign that as the front page. We can do that inside the settings. If you go to settings, reading, you'll see that front page is that. And now if I go and look at query monitor, which is a great plugin, it will tell me which one is being used. Front, oh, I probably spelled it incorrectly. That makes sense. I'm going to go to Ace IDE and I have just front page. So themes, custom theme, and I'm going to rename this one to front dash page. Now, if I refresh, let's see. Now, yes, it's using the template called front dash page. And this is a great way of learning what the template hierarchy is about. Now, the template hierarchy is something that you would need to study if you want to build your own custom themes. It is what are the PHP files that are going to be used by the theme in order to show you the content of that particular page. So if you had a single page versus a single post type, or you had a tag or a taxonomy or a date archive, any kind of rule that you want in here. So for example, if this says if it's the site front page and I have a front page.php, then it will use that one. Else it will see if any of these other things are the same, like single or page, and then eventually it will get to index.php. So now I'm going to go over to blog real quick, and you'll see this is home. And because it's home, it's going to use home.php. And the difference about this particular home.php is that now it's just getting the title with a permalink and title, and then also the excerpt. And that's why I'm getting just these small little items right here. So if you're trying to learn a little bit more about the template hierarchy, I certainly suggest Query Monitor so that you can kind of figure out what templates are being used and why they're being used. So it's a great way of learning it. But as you can see, this is a little bit of that hybrid approach between regular theme building and using a builder. What's nice about it, though, is because you're using a very simple theme, it's pretty easy for you to adjust the code as needed just by looking up what you might need on developer.wordpress or the WordPress codex. And that's what you're looking for. You look under themes, functions file, and you find all sorts of stuff, references that are there. Now, this kind of takes us towards what the professional version of the WordPress builder can do. And that's what we're going to do in the next tutorial. And that's the professional version of Elementor.